coach at Hamilton Southeastern High School, a past president of the Indiana Association of Track and Cross Country Coaches, a former runner for John McNichols at Indiana State University, and a 2026 inductee this evening. Come on up.
Thank you. I am very pleased to continue to present this award as often as I can at this event. As he said, Coach McNichols was my coach at Indiana State University, and on behalf of his family, we at the IATCC decided to give this award to someone who goes above and beyond in their service to track and field and cross country in the state of Indiana, and especially here in Terre Haute, as well as Coach McNichols did. And so some of my teammates, and we have a lot, coaching trees, we call it. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of us that are coaching, whether in high school or college. And so we wanted to remember Coach McNichols with this award. It's always a challenge to determine who we're going to give this award to. And so this evening, the award winner is right here in Terre Haute, Indiana, and has done a lot of things just as Coach McNichols did. As I start to say this, I'm sure he'll figure out who the award is for, but he is not aware that he is getting this award tonight. He is an assistant coach at Indiana State University and has done some tremendous things to continue Cross Country Town USA where we are. So here in Cross Country Town USA, we now have the Nike Cross Country Regional Meet. That is a big deal. We have a Nike Twilight Meet, and then we are going to have the NCAA Cross Country National Championships back here again this fall. And the officials in organizing those meets has come down to him, and he's done a lot of that work and has continued to make Terre Haute known for cross country. And as a teammate of mine at Indiana State and now a coach with his wife, the John McNichols Award winner is Jeff Martin. Thanks for coming. Thank you. Congratulations.
Appreciate it. Jeff, if you'd like to say something.
Thank you. Truly is an honor to get this award. Coach McNichols meant the world to me and my family. I never ran across, I ran cross country when I was little, but when Coach urged me to come and be an assistant coach at Indiana State, he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. So every day that I go out to the cross country course, I think of him. He's there, and trying to carry on that legacy. We have some big things planned. If you guys haven't been out to the cross country course, you need to go out there this fall, because it is something that is going to be remarkable for the sport of cross country. To have a dedicated cross country course is pretty special, and we owe a lot to that to John McNichols. And I'm just here to carry that legacy on, and hopefully I'm doing a good job. Thank you.
I'm not going to say a lot, but John and I considered all of his athletes our kids. So we've had a lot of kids over the years. This group right here, I pretty much know the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I know some things on the guys that they probably wouldn't want me to repeat in front of anyone. Okay. But there's a lot of good there, too. And I'm very, very proud of all the kids.
Thank you.
Rebuttal time, right?
Yeah, completely unprepared for this, but my dad would be so proud of Jeff and Angie and how they've carried on all the work that he did and everything he worked for over his career, and they've taken it to new levels, and we're very thankful for that, and I know he would be so proud of them and of Jeff, and So thank you for honoring Jeff tonight.
White's Institute 4x440 relay team. And Coach Gaither and Elix, come on up here. But Elix, I'm going to tell you right now, inquiring minds want to know what the heck is the stutter step that you did in that anchor position. And can you please demonstrate it for us?
Well, thank you very much. I just so much appreciate this honor. And, you know, I can't believe 1973, that's a long time ago, and I'm still going. But if you don't know anything about Whites, you need to get on Facebook or internet or something and find out all about it. It's a great place for kids, always has been, always will be. And I want to especially thank Marshall Goss. Man, that guy, I'd take 20 guys to replace him, I'm sure. Lane Custer, Lane saw everything we were doing over at White's because he's at Northfield High School. And we have Sherry Smith with us today, who's a part of the administration at White's. And if you get close to Wabash, Indiana, drive out there and go through, you won't believe it. 800 acres, and it looks like a college campus. It's just beautiful. And they got a great CEO today, Matthew Perkey, that is just doing wonders. Mr. Curlis and Mr. Knight here today. They were principals at White's back when I was there. And just great for kids. When I went up to White's, well, the first time they tried to get me to come there in 1967, I think, or 68. And I lived about 30 miles away, and I thought it was a prison. And I said, no, thanks. So then they asked me again, and in 1970. They said, come and take a look. I went up there and fell in love with it. And so I spent 30 years there. And I wasn't sentenced to 30. I just went to 30 years. Okay. When I got there, Dave Falkerson was the athletic director, and Dave had been a student at White's. And he went from White's to Warsaw, and he was an athletic director at Warsaw for lots and lots of years. And also at that time, while he was there, the principal at Warsaw had been a student at White's. So we had a lot of young people go out and really do some great things in life. And golly, this young man here, I mean, he was unbelievable. And he retired out of the Ford Motor Company. He was superintendent of a shift. In other words, he was a big shot, you know. And one of the best things that happened to me in my life was being connected with this guy. There's nothing like having somebody like this that call you. He lives down in Florida now, and say they love you. I mean, it's just special. And now I know I'm not supposed to talk very long, but Dave, when I got there, Dave asked me, he said, what does it take to have a great team? I said, well, to me, and this is my opinion, 90% great athletes and 10% a good coach. Now, that coach could mean a lot, but you got to have the athletes. And I didn't have 4 guys named Joe. I had 4 thoroughbreds, and this was the anchor of that. And I guarantee you, if we was ever in a race, state, finals, wherever, where we're within 5 yards of the leader, or we are the leader, nobody's going to beat this guy. I mean, there's just nobody. And so anyway, I mean, what I did there, I did a lot of things with coaching, and most of you coaches out here say, well, you're crazy. But I didn't have an assistant, and I trained everybody, every practice, to run at 440 yards. I don't care what event they were going to be in, but I practiced them to be a 440 man. And I not only had these 4, I had a few other guys could run around 50. And so I don't think I was a great coach. I just was lucky to get some great guys to run for me. We got them black jackets. And on the back of the black jackets, in big white letters, it said Speed Specialties Incorporated. When they would take this, when we would go to play somebody at their school, before we'd go, I'd say, you know how much fun it's going to be. You guys that are practicing out here on this terrible driveway, that we're going to go there and beat their butts. Oh, those guys ate it up. And I didn't want to be cocky, but the reason we gave them the jackets was we wanted them to go onto their course there and say, you know, we're here and we're here to beat you. And they did, everybody we went up against. Anyway, I mean, I could go on and on about these guys. I know you want me talking all night, but
Well, say something for me, Coach.
yeah, I'm going to. I'm going to let him talk now and talk about those days. And then when he's done, I'm going to tell you a quick Clyde Lavelle story, because we're in Terre Haute, Indiana, and if you know Clyde, you'll like this story. And I might say something else, but go ahead.
First of all I heard was, man, I don't want to talk in front of people. Elix, you know I don't like talking in front of people. I don't know what got into him, Miss Beck. Coach, I don't know what you did to him, but he, this is out of character for Coach. I'm telling you that right now. Well, you know, it is a blessing, and I thank God every day that, you know, now maybe I'm here to be able to see this great honor, and I appreciate all the ones on the committee that decided to voted to select us in. I really appreciate that. To be honest, I got to tell you a little bit about us. Okay, we were 4 guys. First of all, whites, like you said, for years and years and years, it thought was a prison. And so when you come there, like I said, a beautiful place. They had beautiful people. We had, you know, teachers who worked with us. We had staff members that worked with us. But you know, the joy is to have 4 guys one from Gary, I'm from Indianapolis, Brasher from Kalamazoo, Michigan, and John Magnus from Cleveland. And I know a lot of you are coaches, and I'm telling you, if you didn't have the heart and the background that this man had to get us 4 knuckleheads together to practice every day, it would have been a miracle. Brasher was probably one of the best athletes that I've seen then and now. He was strong-headed. He was very moody, you know. So every meet, I had to get with Brasher and say, "Hey man, how you feeling today?" And he said, "I'm good." I said, "Okay, you know what we had to do." I got you. I said, "Okay." John Maggot was quiet, moved slower than a robot, but man, when he got on that field, you would know the difference. And I said, "John, you know what we got to do today?" I got you. I said, okay. So this was the regional. So McDonald was tall and skinny, smooth as ice when he run. And I said, Mac, he said, I got you. I said, okay. So I said, man, these guys, man, they're not even fired up like I was. So we get to Fort Wayne, and Brasher, like he never, ever trash talk. And I can't remember the team name. I know Fort Wayne, we ran against them. But there was another team who got disqualified in some sectional. I believe it was Fort Wayne North, though, but I may be wrong. And they came up to us, you know, hey, you guys, you know, I want y'all to beat them, man, because, you know, we got disqualified. And so we're looking at it like, come on, man, we want to concentrate on the race. So Brasher, out of character, and Brasher looked at him, well, you ought to be glad, because you won't be able to get some of this, you know. So, but, you know, those guys, they wasn't teammates, they was my brothers. Oh my God, we was together for 3 or 4 years. We played basketball together. We ran track, football, baseball. They played baseball, and you know, it just was a group that, you know, believed in one another. And I'm just some out of character that I haven't seen done since I watched the tape from last year. But I gotta ask everyone from Whites, were you a family member, or you're a student, or your husband or wife, stand up, because you guys need to be recognized. Please, stand up for a minute. Just stand up. Yeah. 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 Thank you. Now, I know I got 4 minutes, but since Brasher and McDonald and the Magnet here, so I can take a little bit more. Okay? But I think Coach still sold half of that. But Susan Curlis, who was her father, Mr. Roberts Curlis, they ran Whites, and Susan pretty much, we grew up like sisters and brothers, and it'd be days that she was like, I don't want to say she was a spy, but she went to Southwood High School. She would always come down, let us know, and she kind of like, well, you better be ready. Them guys gonna get you. Them guys gonna get you. And I always appreciate her. We went to Marion College together. She ran track. She played basketball, and of course I ran track also. But it goes to say that, like Coach said something about, you guys visiting Weiss, you wouldn't believe the place. It's unbelievable. When I went there at a young age, I ended up help work construction. Each year, you back in those days, you work a week and you went to school a week, and you did this all year round. So I had the opportunity to, feed hogs, feed the cows, which being from the inner city, scared to death. But I got over my fear. Then I worked construction, and then ended up being one of the barbers. And that's when Mr. Curlis, our principal, got kind of sassy and was talking about our football team. And I said, okay. He said, well, if you guys go undefeated, you can cut my hair. Well, his hair got cut. Anyway, I appreciate everyone, and I'm going to turn it back over to Coach Gaither and go from there.
Yeah, I'd also like to mention Dick Living sitting back here, coach at Northfield. I thought he'd coached over 100 years, but he said it was only 59. But a great coach. We're in Terre Haute, Indiana. Clyde LaValette. You may not know it, but Clyde was a basketball coach at White's for a lot of years. One day, Mr. Curlis sent Clyde and me to Peoria, Illinois, to pick up some stuff for the school. So we get there, and we go in a restaurant, get something to eat, and Clyde has this enormous big ring on, because he was in the Hall of Fame for the NBA. He also had several world championship rings. Very seldom ever wore them. He's a quiet, gentle man, never would say anything about himself. But we're sitting there, and this waitress, she keeps looking at that big old ring and looking at him. So anyway, we get ready to leave. And she said, we go up to pay. She says, she looks at me and she says, was he a basketball player? I said, young lady, I said, that's one of the greatest basketball players of all time. His name is Wilt Chamberlain. Well, big old Clyde, he just goes along with it. And he says, he shakes her hand and he said, yeah, people call me Wilt the Stilt. But what a great guy to be coaching our kids there. One other thing before I get off here. Elix and me have an opportunity every once to play golf together. And I have told him that he's never going to beat me in golf till I turn 100 years old. So I'm going to have a little contest here. I'm going to ask you, do you think he will beat me before I'm 100 or after I'm 100? So let me see the hands that think he's going to beat me before. I don't. I can tell you right now, you aren't going to beat me because I'm not asking him. But I know I'm going to do it. You're going to beat me. Love this guy. He's an unbelievable athlete, and football, basketball, and track.
So he was a trash talker.
It's a tough act to follow. I'll try to get mine about 2 minutes here if I can. But again, appreciate Marshall and the whole committee for this very prestigious award. And also I want to congratulate the other inductees. I always think about inductees when you first start. I was talking to Keith a little while ago, and I said, when did you start track? And he goes, 7th grade. I said, and you knew in 7th grade you're going to be a Hall of Famer. You know, this is something that comes along from hard work, dedication. So much of your family helped you get to this point, which is just awesome for everybody to be here. Plus in the first class right through to here. A couple of people I appreciate from South Bend to help my sister get this going was Mike McCarthy. He's the coach at South Bend St. Joe, and also Ross Havens, who's a historian from South Bend St. Joe. They help get the process going, who you get in touch with, who you turn this into, and also Matt Byers. He he's a sports information director at South Bend Adams, and he got a lot of information, pictures, and all that. For me, it's kind of special. Like earlier, they didn't say I was his son. They said, John Goldsberry, and here I come up here thinking I'm, 95 years old, but I was doing pretty well. But for me, it's kind of special. Here it is, Father's Day weekend. I get to talk about my dad. Okay, when I first heard Dad was going to get in possible induction, I thought, well, if my dad, my grandfather, Alonzo, he's in the Basketball Hall of Fame. My dad is in the Football Hall of Fame in 1991. Their son and grandson is in nothing, even though I've been coaching for 50 years. But I'm going to keep going until I get in, I guess. But at the time when my dad got into and I went to my grandfather's Hall of Fame at basketball, and I went to my dad's Hall of Fame in football, and there's no comparison to what they do with this track and field. It just it kind of chokes me up when you go over there and watch all that they've put in there, and it's just first class forever. Well, I've been coaching basketball for 50 years, and I said, well, once I get done coaching college, which I coached for 19 years, I'm going to go over to Richmond, Indiana for the Football Hall of Fame. Well, so I called when I got done in 2022, say, okay, I want to try to come over. No one answered. I emailed, no one answered. Then I realized that the Football Hall of Fame facility no longer exists. So I said, if Dad gets into the Hall of Fame for track and field, I'm heading over tomorrow at that point. So what I did, he got in, and I called Marshall, set up a date, and John Sino and Marshall gave me the top quality. And I don't know, anybody ever been through a tour with Marshall? I stayed all night because it was so late by the time we got done. And one thing about John Sino, John, I counted, you have 14 pictures in this program. Is there? I know you're in the Hall of Fame now, but I saw every time I turned a picture, John Stino, and it just shows you how much he's done. But the job they did that day was just unbelievable, and I really appreciate that. So I went over, and it was like just a great tour at that point. Unfortunately, my dad passed away in 1972, my senior year in high school, and he never talked about all he had accomplished. I mean, he played in the NFL, he intercepted a pass against Green Bay. He, on the last day in track and field, I picture my grandma and grandpa up in the stands. The last day he competed in high school track and field, he broke the state record, was 13 years old, by almost a foot. And I think no one ever talked about it. He was so humble, he never said a word. Again, he played pro football. He played at Indiana. Indiana football fans? A few of you here? No, how great are you? Give him a hand for Indiana football. I was lucky enough that my dad, he was a starting tackle as a freshman for Bo McMillan. His best friends were Pete Pihos. Some of you people don't know, probably Howard Brown. His best friend on the team was George Taliaferro. Anybody heard of George Taliaferro? I mean, he's a legend. He's a neighbor. He was a neighbor of Marshall. He told me at that point. But he loved that team. And for them to mention the 1945 undefeated team so many times this year, we might as well do it again next year at that point. He finished up high school fourth his sophomore year. He was champion his junior year. And then he won, like I said, he won that, broke a 13-year record at that point. He did a shot for 2 years at Indiana, and then unfortunately he hurt his knee his junior year in football, and he couldn't do track and field anymore. Now, special thanks to my sister Jane for putting this all together, to my wife Paula, my children who 3 out of the 4 were able to make it. Lindsay right here from Dayton, Tip City, my daughter from Ashley from North Carolina, my son who's going to evaluate my performance. He's sitting up in the back right there. But once again, thanks to Marshall and the whole thing. This is so first class. It's just kind of unbelievable. I said, I wish my dad was here. But he's shining down just like he did all Indiana's football season. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Wow, you read all my stats and stole my thunder. One of the things you always got to put God first. I want to thank God and thank my family. I may or may not cry here. You get an understanding here. You know, in the past 6 or 7 years, we've lost so many close members. Starting with my sister's husband, my brother-in-law, Daryl Drake. And he had a saying that he was assistant coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers and had bracelets made that said, "Why accept good when great's available?" In other words, get out there and do your best, and that's always going to stick with me. A month later, I lost my son. 2 months later, lost my second brother-in-law. 2 months after, I lost my sister. And 1 year to the day, I lost my second sister-in-law. We lost 5 in 12 months, but I'm still standing here through the grace of God and my family. And what you see standing before here, just like our pastor said, you can always tell a tree by its fruit. What you see is a fruit here. My tree and the roots is my family. When I won my championship in 1986, I got interviewed and asked, I said, how did you get the number one bib? It had the number one on it. I said, well, alphabetically, Alabama is the first alphabetical school. I was the first to qualify. And there was no way I was going to lose that race being in Indianapolis, my hometown, not knowing that my mom was gravely ill. 6 months to the day had passed away. When I crossed the finish line, I looked up in the stands and watched the media interview my parents. It just had a sense of pride in me that my parents saw me, to get to do that, and my family being in the stands. And it was just so touching, and all the hard work that I put in where I did it the right way, training, running the hills, throwing up, and those who run track understand that the workout doesn't start until you get tired. And I had so many college teammates, Robert Thomas, Philip Miller. And there's one thing I got to know that he doesn't know. Before I went to the junior college, I wasn't doing so well with schoolwork and stuff like that. So one of my biggest idols was my brother Kyle Mason here. And he was in the Air Force. And I said, I'm going to go join the Air Force. Got on the city bus, went downtown Indianapolis. No one knew where I was. I had my hands literally on the door to go sign the paperwork to join the Air Force. Philip Miller came up and said, Keith, come here for a second. And it's like, wait a minute, let me go sign this paperwork. He said, no, come on, we can go ride somewhere. Where are we going? We're going to a little town called DeWajak. Where is that? That's what junior college, and Coach Ryan gonna walk in. He looked me in my eyes, shook my hand, and said, welcome to Southwest Michigan, champ. He called me champ. I'm like, what is going on here? And that day was the pivot in my life that changed my life, period. Because 6 months of that, I had a Nike contract, 4 national championships, 3 national records and stuff. And Philip, I just need to ask. It had been the grace of God. How did you know where I was? I told no one where I was. He pulled up on it. It had to be God. I mean, literally, it's like, wow, my parents didn't even know where I was. So when I went up to that junior college for 3 months, they didn't know where I was. Key, where are you? I'm in school. Yeah, and it's like, trying to get right. And then, because I grew so much, I'm almost 6'4" now, when, my mind, body, and heart and everything became one, I became, who I was and some of the things that I did. 1984, going to the Olympic trials. I had the 5th fastest time going into the Olympic trials. I'm 19 years old, not understanding the gravity of it. Butch Reynolds, the world record in 400 meters, we were standing on the corner. He said, Keith, let's go to the Nike house. I'm like, what is a Nike house? It was a Victorian house. They were giving out Nike equipment. I said, man, I'm not going to beg for a shirt or anything like that. I'm name dropping here, but Wilma Rudolph was coming around the corner. And she said, Keith? I said, how you doing, Miss Rudolph? She said, when did you grow and be so tall? I said, years ago. And she said, what are you doing here? I said, I'm here for Olympic trials. She said, you mean to tell me one of my summer track people are here? Yes, ma'am. So me and Butch, we go into the house. The guy walked in, and Butch, the guy asked, he said, what are you guys doing here? And Butch said, we know had a free T-shirt. And he looked at me and said, what is your name? I said, Keith Talley. He said, we've been looking at you for 6 months. I said, for what? He said, we want to sponsor you. He said, everything you see in this house, you can have. I'm like, 19, you're just going to give me this equipment. I'm oblivious to what's going on. So he said, matter of fact, come with me. I'm dragging a bag. I drug 2 bags of Nike equipment out of the thing. And my roommate, Robert Thomas, To tell you, I wasn't fancy. Give me my cotton sweats. I was very humble in what I did and stuff. He has some of the more expensive equipment that I gave away. I gave some to my brothers and sisters here, my parents, and things like that. And I asked him, I said, why did you pick me? And the thing, he said, we watched you for a year, and we like the way you conducted yourself. We know you're not going to be in our equipment and handcuffs. You know, you represent yourself well. And that comes from my household, from my mothers and parents, my brothers and sisters. Not want to disappoint my family. Just being upstanding. You know, it's the same thing. Go back to 1986. We ran a 4x1, and we ran out of the zone. I was anchoring the relay, and I got mad. I threw the baton down. And Don Coleman he tapped me on the shoulder and said, Keith, you can't do that. You're one of our high-profile athletes. You can't do that. And he's Michael Jordan's right-hand man now. So, and at that point, he said, okay, I get it. But my pride comes from me. Like I said, my family name started with my dad. He moved to Indianapolis in 1928. A gentleman named Ralph Metcalf got the silver medal behind Jesse Owens in the 36 games. My father handed him the baton in high school. In 1927, my father was the first athlete to ever jump over 6 foot in the high jump when they just dug holes in the ground. So we get it from there, just him instilling in us work ethic. My mom, work ethic. She said, Keith, if you're 6'3", when you walk through and be 6'5", smile. Conduct yourself well. You know, not being able to disappoint especially my dad and stuff. Hey, I gave you the last name, do what's right by it. So it's a pleasure that I got inducted into this Hall of Fame to have my dad's name in here. It's not me. Like I said, it's my family and everybody represent me standing here. And like I said, through the grace of God, I appreciate everyone in this room and taking the time, coming out for their time to be here.
I would first like to thank the committee for inducting me. It's really special. And also thanks to Coach Goss and everyone else that put all this hard work into the day. It's been a really fun day. I'm truly humbled and honored to be inducted tonight alongside the 11 other people. I never really planned to be a distance runner. I'm not sure many people set out thinking that they want to run 10,000 meters as hard as they can. But I started running in junior high and picked the hurdles because our only state champion from my high school, Brooke Beckert, ran them. I was decent, but I also ran the mile, and it would become pretty clear that the distance events would be my best events. I had no idea if I was good or not, but I won some races and enjoyed competing. By high school, I qualified for state meets, but never quite had any great finishes. I was a lifelong IU fan, so I begged my way onto IU's team as a walk-on, and I was thrilled to be a Hoosier. I had no idea what I was getting into, and I never really trained until my first year in Bloomington. My first college coach, Coach Wilson, loves to tell the story about how she almost cut me, but because I stayed with our best runner in one workout, she decided to keep me around a little bit longer. Little did I know I was just that close to not being on the team. While at IU, I meshed my hurdle and distance background into the steeplechase and fell in love with that race. Over my time at Indiana, something clicked and I got better and better, accomplishing my goals of becoming a Big Ten champion, an All-American, and school record holder. I never thought those things would be possible until I got to IU. After IU, I was able to compete for a few years post-collegiately, including the Olympic trials and representing Team USA, which were both dreams come true. Looking back, running has been so special because of the memories I made and the people that I met. I've met some of my best friends through running, gotten to travel the U.S. and the world, going to races, and met my husband also while I was running. I loved pushing myself and my teammates and achieving our goals together. There's really nothing like standing on a start line with your team. I have so much gratitude and appreciation for the people who helped me along the way and made my career possible. It took a team effort and a lot of sacrifice from the people around me. I think about all the dreams I had, and I got to check almost all of them off, and a lot of the credit goes to the following people. To start, thanks to my high school coaches who kept running fun and encouraged me to pursue collegiate running. Thanks to my first college coach, Coach Wilson, who gave me a chance to fulfill my lifelong dream of being an Indiana Hoosier. I put in a lot of work, but she gave me that opportunity, and I'll never forget that. Thanks to Steve, who was one of my post-collegiate coaches. He pushed me to think outside the box and taught me it's not just about the training that I have, but I had to see the magic as well. And thanks to Coach Helmer, my coach at IU for my last 4 years and portions of my post-collegiate career, he taught me the value of striving for excellence in everything. He believed in me and pushed me to be my best. He helped me achieve more than I ever thought could be possible and was an incredible mentor and supporter of me in my coaching career. No other person outside of my family has had a bigger impact on my life than he did. I'd also like to thank my parents, who never missed anything, and they were always really supportive. As a coach, I see the value in those things now more than ever. It was the best gift that they could have given me. Thanks to my sister, who traveled to so many races and has always supported me. And last but not least, thank you to my husband, Carl, and my girls, Kaya and Andy. Carl's been my biggest supporter in anything I've done. We met through running, and he's always understood my love for the sport. Kaya and Andy have never seen me race, and Kaya tells me I'm slow. But they're a big part of my coaching career, and I have loved getting to share my love for this sport with them. As you can see, there are a few parts of my life that cross country and track hasn't touched. The great thing, though, about running is always get to enjoy it, even at a slower pace now. Thank you again, and congratulations to all the inductees.
Thank you, guys. A big thank you to the board and Marshall. I really appreciate it. When Marshall first called me and informed me I was being inducted into the Hall of Fame, my immediate response was, why? We both laughed a bit, and at the time I wasn't joking. As athletes and former athletes, we tend to be hypercritical of ourselves, our good performances, certainly our bad ones. Throughout my entire career, I always set my goals very high, and I rarely ever achieved any of those goals that I set. Being in the Hall of Fame, it wasn't even something that I thought possible, so I am truly humbled. When I ran my last race in 2020, it left me wondering if all of that training, the time, the commitment, the injuries, and the travel, if they were all truly worth it. But standing up here in front of everyone tells me that it was. To know that I made an impact on the sport and the state, it validates every question that I ever had. A close friend told me his son sees my college poster all over my local high school, and to be a positive role model for so many, I never envisioned that for myself when I was a high school athlete. As many of you know, track and field is very unforgiving and challenging. I will forever be thankful to my friends, my family, and loved ones. My dad, who was present for every one of my competitions, he was my rock through everything, and I would not have been able to achieve even a fraction of what I did without him. Today truly means the world to me, and I am so thankful to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Thank you all, and God bless.
Jim Stack. I have two sisters, one in Aurora, and the other was in Golden.
Oh, thank you. You know, I guess there's only one thing to say, but it fragments into thousands of different ways is thank you. And first and foremost, thank God. Like, thank God. And I mean that in an emphatic way of like, thank God, but I also made it in like, thank God. Do you know how many things had to go right to be standing right here? Keith, thank you so much. That was so beautiful. It was like, yes, first and foremost, thank God. I think about all of those miles and the buses and the airplane rides and all of those trips down the runway and trying to hit that little mat and not hitting that mat. And even that had to be survived for long periods of time to be able to be recognized 40 years later for something that you did back then. Thank God. And thank God for this family right here. My father, Jim Sr., my mother, Adrian, like to put up with all of that and to put up with the rest of our siblings, 5 of us, 7 of us living in that house, like the amount of support that had to come from them. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for being here. And then my brothers and my oldest brother, Mike, he's the one who, in metal shop, built the weight bench that furnished our basement that I stared at. And he got the weights, and I started lifting them in 6th grade. And then he brought home that one day that purple Hobart bricky colored pole into the backyard. He said, I'm like, what's that? Thank God for that. And then my brother Andy, 1 year older than me, we got to pole vault together through high school and set records and be the Stack brothers, and it was fantastic. Thank God for that. My sister Ann, I just had a thought about you last week, is that in the morning, so I could get my bike ride to school, as I could ride as fast as I could to get the morning workout, she would take my book bag at lunch on the bus and give it to me at my locker. Then Laura, the youngest, thank you for ironing all my shirts and being the and being the organizer. I mean that symbolically, of like organizing this whole thing, and to have an opportunity to to bring our whole family together. Like, we're out in Colorado, you're in Oregon or in Portland. It's rare for us to get together. So thank you for this opportunity to bring all of our family together. Chris, Claire, thank you guys for coming too, making the trip. And then our daughters get to see this whole thing. Danielle, Sophia, I don't talk much about this piece of my life. I'm so grateful for it. It was so formative in all that I do, but I don't want to hang out it as my identity, so I don't speak about it too much. But it was so formative. And that man who became the crux of it, my other father, James Johnston Sr. Thank God that I was born into this city that happened to have one of the best pole vaulting coaches in the country. And he's at this little Hobart High School, and I get taken under his wing. And he takes me on, and he's like, come over here. Let me show you something. To this day, there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about and be grateful for what that man has instilled in me, not as this athlete to jump over this bar, but as a human being, as a man, as a father, as a husband. To my wife, Victoria, thank you so much, my love. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, this beautiful family that's out there. And one of the beautiful moments we had today at the museum is in the corner where the family lineages, that James Johnston, the grandfather, he had 3 generations where his sons became state champions. Their sons became state champions. And as we're looking at that picture, some of the offspring of some of those generations came in the door who were also the state champions. And we stood with that picture, and we took it off the wall, and we all stood there in a line as that generational lineage went from grandfather to grandson to nephew and so on. And that family just got bigger, and it goes on and on and on and on. So thank God for that man in my life. And this family right here, thank God for that. And then, to top it all off, I graduate from that, and the man in the back of the room becomes my new mentor. Marshall Goss, happy birthday, and thank God for you. Marshall Goss was one of those people that was on my list of there are people in my life I need to say thank you and I'm sorry to, and Marshall Goss is one of them. So I'm so glad, thank God that I got the opportunity to do both, Coach, and happy birthday. 88 years old. I thought you were in your 80s back then when I met you. Although that woman to your right has not aged a bit. Oh my God, Ann, it's so good to see you too. Thank God for that. Who gets to experience this? Who gets to experience that? Keith, you're right. Thank God. Thank God for all of that. And thank you to that museum. One of the things that I've realized looking at that museum is that what all of you have created here is what's so essential to all of us, is that you are the storytellers, and the telling of the story has always been important. Telling the story has always been important. That's how we've learned forever the moral of this story. And what you've created is a story. for all of those next generations to come in and be in bewilderment about that's how high 18 feet is, and you look up at that bar when you come in, you're like, that's incredible. You look at that long jump, you're like, he jumped off 1 foot from here to there? That's incredible. I remember staring at those things at the Hobart High School picture, those old black and white pictures with the horn-rimmed glasses of that guy going over the hurdle. I'm like, wow, I would love to be that guy, something to aspire to. So you guys are the storytellers. That's a really important job. And all of the coaches in here, everybody in here has been affected by a coach. All of you. And a lot of you in here are the coaches. All the coaches and the teachers are all underpaid. So are the mothers. Without a doubt. I had this thought the other day too, thinking about this, is when I was coaching, I was doing my student teaching at this school called Maryville High School. I was walking through the halls and there was this young man I saw who, I had him in one of my classes and he was pretty quick, and I stopped him and I said, Eddie, come over here. You're going out for the track team, right? He's like, oh, I didn't think about it. It's like, you're going out for the track team. 30 years later, his son, Isaac Roman, just won the state championship in the pole vault last week. That's right. That was him. That was one word I said to this young boy. Coaches, you never know where it's going to land. It's all so important. All of those things you do, all that time that you put in is so important. I'm not preaching to the choir here, but keep it up. It's many times thankless, Coach Goss. It was many times thankless. But thank you for hanging in there. Thank you for putting up with me. And I'm sorry I'll tell you about what I need to apologize for you later. And again, thank God. Thank God for all of those things that had to happen for this moment to happen. Thank you.
Hornbossel, represented by Dr. Andrew Freeman. And again, thank you for being here. Very much appreciate it.
Thank you so much. First, I want to just start by thanking my good friend, John Cio, who called me up and said, hey, we are not able to find a living relative of Charles, and it would be an honor for you as the principal of his high school to come up. And I gladly said, that's awesome, because not only is this an honor for me because I'm the principal of the high school he went to, I was also an 800 runner in high school and in college, and then also coached. And, you know, I think about all the hours that I put in and how I almost killed myself to break 2 minutes in high school and in college. And Charles, he was able to break 150. And not only was he able to do that, he was able to do that in the 30s with those terrible kangaroo leather shoes and that cinder track and all of that. So I obviously didn't know Charles, but I can just imagine the amount of natural talent he had, but more importantly, the amount of hard work and grit he would have had to put in to become a world record holder. And so I am just very, very honored on behalf of the faculty, staff, and students and community of Central High School. Like he said, we are the oldest high school west of the Alleghenies. We just graduated our 171st class this year. So a lot of rich history at Central High School, and we're very proud of it. And I plan to make this part of our own Hall of Fame and place this in a very prominent location so future generations can enjoy it. So thank you guys so much, and thanks for letting me be here.
I did not graduate high school in 1922. However, some of my athletes and students at Culver probably think that I graduated in 1922. But congrats to all of the inductees and families. It really is an honor to accept this on behalf of William Richardson and the academies. But it's also great to hear the other stories and those. I thought when Jim was speaking that maybe we had a preacher here talking. He followed Keith, you know, kind of two preachers going at it here. But thank you for that. We appreciate it. It is an honor to do this, and I do praise God that we have so many people that teach and coach and mentor. It is great hearing the stories. Thank you all. William Horde Richardson, and I didn't know where the Horde came from until a few years ago because we inducted William into the Culver Academy's Athletic Hall of Fame, and I was tasked with finding out information and trying to contact family members. William and his wife did not have any children, and William died in 1969, and his wife in the 1990s. But his sister did have a child, and unfortunately that child had passed away too. So there are essentially no living relatives of William, even back about 15 or 20 years ago when we inducted him. So it's an honor to do this. But, you know, when I look at the times, when I first arrived at Culver, William he was tied for the second best 440 record at that time, the best of all the Culver athletes. And then his 800 was still third best at that time. So I arrived in 1974, and, you know, his times were still very good at that time. So one of the things I wanted to share was a little bit about what William did, because the Culver students and some of their team went to the Wisconsin Relay Carnival back in the 20s, and then also to the Interscholastic Championships, which were held in Chicago at the Bears, what we know as the Bears Stadium, at least for a while here. We don't know. But they came away with a lot of loot. That is, they gave out these huge plaques for champions. And when I first arrived at Culver, there were laundry bins back in our athletic area full of trophies and plaques from those days and into the 30s. And unfortunately, most of those burned when what we call Little Jim burned in 1979. But from the standpoint, I did grab a few of those things, and so I have a handful of things still in our trophy cases there from those years. But he was a part of that. They won some of those championships, and his senior year at the Interscholastic Championship at Bears Field there, he did win the 440, at that time, and the 880 in the same meet, as well as running on one of the relays that they had. The Wisconsin Relay Carnival, in looking at it, I thought was weird. It was an indoor meet, and they had their relay, and he ran the 880 on that, but it was a 100, a 300, a 400, and an 800, and then another relay started out differently, and he ran the 800 on both of those, and it anchored with a 1320 there. One thing about William and his life, I didn't know when I was doing the Culver induction what the Los Angeles Blue Book was. Now, maybe some of you are in that class of people, but he was the individual that was in charge of taking care of that and organizing it and producing it. But the Los Angeles Blue Book is an exclusive, curated directory of prominent local families, business leaders, and socialites. Its primary purpose was to function as an elite address book, providing contact information, club memberships for the Southern California's upper class. So that's what William did most of his life as a publisher and producer of that book, which I had no idea until I read a little further. I want to thank all of the individuals here at the museum with Marshall and his group of busy bees that do all kinds of things. We do appreciate all that you do. It's an honor to be here and to take care. We will put this in our hallway in the athletic complex, which we call our Hall of Fame, and William is there, and this plaque will be there as well. Thank you very much.
for you. It's purple, sorry, but that's as close to blue as I can get.
Okay.
All right. So, anyway, congratulations and welcome into the Hall of Fame, Julie Alana. Can I make you shake hands?
First of all, thank you to the Hall of Fame committee and all the gentlemen who work on the hall, and especially Marshall Goss. Congratulations to all the other inductees this evening. I've been to multiple of these inductions, and this is always a fun event, as Michael said, to hear all the stories, and it all is very similar to probably what I will say, but I do have some things I want to go through, and yes, I've been blue and white my whole life. Yes, I turned 50 on the day of the state track meet this year. To me, that was the best way to spend my birthday. The biggest track meet of the season with the best in Indiana competing. The meet director, my mentor and friend, athletic director Jim Self, also celebrating his birthday that day. The best in the business for running a great track meet. I started thinking about when I fell in love with track and field. Was it when I was beating the boys in elementary school? Was it when I broke my high school's 400 record the first time I ever ran the race? Was it when the Shelbyville News reporter really liked to report on the success of my brother Brian and I in high school? Or was it when I went to my first state track meet with just my coach, Sandy Shaw, because everyone else went to his graduation? My manager this year, I told her that story, and she's like, well, you should have just FaceTimed. Yeah, that did not exist then. I don't think it was when I fouled all 3 jumps in the long jump at sectional my senior year and while I was seated first in that event, nor when I fell in the hurdles in my first race in college. Maybe it was when I broke the 400-meter hurdle record at Indiana State, and I remember how proud Coach McNichols was. But then, yes, Angie broke that the next year, but she was also my 4x4 teammate, which was really fun. Then I started coaching track and field at Hamilton Southeastern High School in my first year of teaching as a volunteer under Coach Jim Self. I was there every day doing many of the things that Coach John McNichols, Coach John Gartland, and Coach Todd Lehman had taught me, becoming a paid assistant the very next year. Was it when maybe did I fall in love in track and field when my first athlete qualified for state in the 300 hurdles, Vanessa Lugo? Was it when we won the sectional for the first time over this other school that starts with a C? Jamie Worsimus-Smith was blazing down the backstretch, about to win the 4x4 for us before throwing up after the race. When she passed the team that we were upset in that race, we weren't supposed to win, I began calculating that we could win the meet. At that point in time, that was all paper and in my head, and we were so excited that we had won, and our longtime assistant principal at the time was crying happy tears for us. Was it when we made shirts to wear to the state track meet with Carrie Colglazer on them, a teammate of ours, or a girl on our team the previous year who was killed by a drunk driver just days before that meet? Was it 20 years ago when I was my first year as head coach? I was here in Terre Haute visiting college friends in April when I received a call about another car accident with one of my athletes. The support of the team to make it through that season without Chastity was strong. Was it when we saw our school on the top of the scoreboard at the state track meet just for a moment as the first 2 state champions in school history for the girls team were crowned, Portia Bailey Bernard in the 100 hurdles and Paige Smith Trujillo in the discus? Or was it when, somewhat surprisingly, we earned state runner-up as a team in 2017? We had a few athletes there. We were small but mighty. Was it when we were favored all season to win the state championship in 2018, and I just wanted to make sure everybody stayed healthy, and we just made it through June without having any issues? I was scared to death that we would not live up to our potential. Was it when the school record 4x4 team of Olivia Burgess, Maya Hammonds, Tiara Sidnor, and Reagan Wands wrote the time they wanted to run on the marker board in the locker room before leaving for the state track meet, a time that was better than the current state meet record, which they ran and were state runner-up to the current state record holders from North Central? Was it when freshman Elia Blackmore Mia Kemp, along with junior Mackenzie Lofton and senior Allie Ellsbury, placed 3rd at New Balance Nationals in the shuttle hurdle relay, one of our favorite events under Coach McNichols? Was it when the 4x4 of Sierra Kepner, Anissa Lamy, Addison Sith, and Chloe Sinefeld ran together for the first time at Nike Indoor Nationals, where they won? Was it state meet this year, where we hoped to bring home a trophy, but not all went as planned? I can continue with many stories of the ups and downs of track and field. Those ups and downs have shaped me throughout my journey. Many other coaches have shaped me through this journey as well. I've already mentioned those that have coached me as well as who I coached under, but I've worked with many of the best as well. Here tonight to support me from HSE are John Comforter and Steve Herman. Also to support me from an HSE athlete of mine to then the Fishers track coach and now the IATCC secretary, Andy Beloli. I would also like to thank many of those in the IATCCC who I have worked under and worked with as in those 25 years. And I want to mention that one of those people who got me started when I came to my first meeting in I think '01 was Eric Kellison, who is now retiring as assistant principal at Franklin Central High School, who said, you should come to this meeting. And at the meeting, they said, hey, we need a website. And I volunteered as the computer science teacher. And the rest is kind of history. But I want to thank all those in the IATCC who have helped shape me as well. Michael Chastain, Mike Davidson, Terry Lakes, Bob Parter, Marshall Goss, Lane Custer, Dennis McNulty, Doug Snyder, and Paige Brunner, and ISU teammate Rick Sluter. Also, rearranging it. Through all of this, as I continue to work for the athletes every day, even when they are over 2,200 miles away right now, I work to know all 100 girls on my team's names. I work to keep track of every girl's personal best. I work to provide the best opportunities for each of them. And if it were not for them, I would not be here. That work ethic is what my family has given me. My parents, Joe and Debbie Harker, who are here with me tonight, as well as my siblings, Jeff, Brian, and Michelle. They have taught me that work ethic that I take to my athletes each day. So many other coaches that make our team what it is, to continue to make our team what it is and always has been, a team, not just individuals. There's so many to mention. I'll mention a few. Bill Ullenball, Morgan Cooper, Marley Bird, Jennifer Hill, Kent Powers, Andrew Stein, Amanda Feinberg, Katie Smith, Alex Coker, Allison Fife, John Bratton, Adam John, John Albrecht, Tig Butts, Taylor Treesh, Scott Keller, and I could go on. So many others that I have worked with over the years that have been beneficial to me. I also want to say thanks to all the many track parents over the years in our community that have supported HSE Girls Track, as well as the amazing staff at Hamilton Southeastern High School, the athletic department, and all the staff that help at our meets, and athletic trainers, and everything that makes Hamilton Southeastern one of the best places to run a track meet. And as I said, I also want to thank any other family and friends that are here, my in-laws, anyone that is here. As they all know, my family and my friends that are here, when it is track season, that is my love for the sport, and the team takes over my life. Thank you so much again.
One thing Kevin and I have noticed as people come up to accept and say a few words, some just speak off the cuff, some read it and written down, and some people, especially the younger ones, they write it on their phone. Well, I'm 76. I'm not known for my computer skills, Julie, but I bought I was going to bring in a rotary. I'll explain that to you young people. A phone that plugged in to the wall, and you dialed it, let it go, and then come back. And it had a cord on it. So I was going to get one of those rotary phones and take a Sharpie and write on it and say, I would like to thank the director of the track. But I chose not to, okay? I will echo all of the other inductees' congratulations. And it's heartwarming to sit here and listen to the stories each year. Some fantastic people who have done great things. I'll tell you about my athletic highlight. Third grade, Harper Elementary School. My dad was in the stands, four-sport guy, unbelievable athlete, 6'2". Mom was 5'2". Okay, but I stole the ball at the top of the key. Okay, the ball was in proportion, it was about this big. And I was so excited because I knew my dad was over there watching me. And I went down to court and I thought, okay, concentrate. I better get ready for a layup. I gathered the ball and I was at the top of the other key. I shot put it at about 10 feet. And I looked at my dad. I know he was dying, but he never said anything because he was an all-pro football player and basketball player. I want to say congratulations to the other inductees. I also want to say that I would like to thank Marshall Goss in particular, but also the other founding members, creators, Greg Gibson, and also the late, great Bill Welsh. They're the ones, with the help of Dave Patterson, to put everything together. None of us would even be here. So I really appreciate that. I want to say I had the best family. We're few. My sister Ann, we lost our parents in 1972 and 76. But they're with me every day. I'll tell you two other people were with me every day in spirit. That's my bride of 1977, and also God. I don't profess it a lot, but I think those that are around me, my athletes, my friends, know that that is a very big, the biggest part of my soul. My brother-in-law, Delman, the best brother-in-law you could ask for. My nieces, Vanna, Melissa, and Beverly, great friends. There's 38 of them here today, so I can't name them all. But so faith, family, friends, and former athletes. All of you that are part of the track and cross country programs, including Dr. Shannon Dunn, raise your hands. Thank you. And they're better halves, and friends. John Wheeler, stand up. 6'5".
He shrunk.
Yeah, Brian Miles, Mike Pill. Anyway, from Parkersburg, West Virginia, he started the ball rolling. And he's retired now. Most of my guys are retired. That's saying something about me. Anyway, he took the ball and ran with it and contacted so many people and so many good friends and everything. Okay. Very first team, Bob Corn Dog Corn. They all had to have nicknames. Wani, Edgar Winter, Crazy Man, Doug Dixon, and so on. So many memories. I'm not going to name all my teams because there were 45 of them. But I had a principal, and I had 4 principals that supported me, but none better than Mr. Jim Sharp. He was there. I replaced a 6'7" All-American basketball player who knew nothing about art. And I walked into quite an interesting classroom. One whole group of boys walked out, and when the administration walked them back to the classroom, said, "Why are they in the hall? You have to ask them." And Terry Ifrati, the ringleader, said, he's making us do art. We never had to do anything in here. So I knew right then that I had my work cut out for me. I love what I do, and also that appreciate that from Parkersburg, West Virginia, from the state of Iowa, my state champion, pole vaulter Tad Grafton. We've got here from Memphis, Tennessee, Dallas, Texas, Chicago, Illinois, Evansville, Pittsburgh, Indiana. My athletes. I hope I didn't leave anybody out. That's all I've got to say, except thank you, and I appreciate this honor. Thank you.
On behalf of our family, and congratulations to all the other inductees, we want to thank you very much for this honor to be able to remember our grandfather with this fantastic honor into the Hall of Fame. What this has done, when Marshall first contacted us, has really started to unpack some memories for us of a very special man, and one who we got to know through playing games. Either we played golf with him, but we also got to know the rules. And if you cheated in Candyland, you were taught the rules by reading the book of rules again. And so we would go over this and make sure that everyone understood that and played again. But we had some fun. We had a lot of fun with this type of thing, whether it's on the golf course or wherever we were doing this. But we did have to follow the rules. One of the things that we're able to do is to unpack some of these memories and to remember what we were able to do with our grandfather. Was that one of the things that I got to be able to do is to watch him officiate some of the state meets at North Central High School. It was a really special day. It most often was sunny, most often was good weather, but it was always fun to be able to see Granddad in action, being able in that orange sleeve, the starter gun, and the squawk box, and he did not like false starts. He did not. And if anyone was on the receiving end of his stare after they false started, you just kind of knew they shrank back and they were not going to do that again. But he knew the rules. He wanted to make sure that everyone had a good time in playing these fun games, but he enjoyed all the sports. He could watch championship tiddlywinks and have a fantastic time doing so, but he really enjoyed the ability, and I do have to thank my grandmother for letting him do all these things and really enjoy his life. From her perspective, he was gone quite a bit, doing a lot of these things, but also she enjoyed watching him officiate track meets, being part of coaching things, but a lot of people in his life called him Mr. Thurston. They called him Coach Thurston. Several got to call him, as an official. I'm one of the 4 lucky ones who got to call him Granddad. But you have helped unpack some memories of him, and we again thank you for this honor. And again, congratulations to all the other inductees. Thank you.
I'm glad my brother clarified that we are the grandkids and not the sons, sons and daughters. So that's okay. That's okay. I have some gray hairs, but not that many. No, I think, like my brother said, it was something that unpacked, and to have, our grandfather passed away in 1988, and so to have somebody remember him after all these years was something truly special. And I remember, him coming back even after he was done doing this and going to the state track meets, and my dad would always take him there. You guys should also know that his sister has a school named after her in Alexandria, Indiana, the Marie Thurston Elementary School. And, what our father has done in the community, that little Power of 3 group is something truly special.
I think it's my birthday, so Marshall, it's great to share the greatest birthday in the world with you, sir. I appreciate it. So if you'll humble me with a few minutes on advocating for something that's very important to me, and that is intercollegiate athletics and what's going on as a result of the House settlement. I ran cross country myself in high school in freshman and sophomore year, and I had trained hills in Bloomington, Indiana, in the fall, and that training literally propelled me actually to become a Division I swimmer at Michigan State. My leg strength was second to none on the team when I was up there. And so our program was cut in 2000, and one of the many programs, and I'm part of a leadership group that is part of trying to get the program reinstated. And I'm here to advocate for you. We are the Summer Olympics together. You dominate the second week, we dominate the first week, and every 4 years everyone wants to chant USA, USA, and that's because of the work that we do. And then for 3 years and 50 weeks they go silent and they go run home, and they don't know anything about the great competition that's happening in the pools here in Indianapolis, or the fields right over here in cross country that's being run here in Terre Haute. So last summer, in part of my advocacy, I knew that the House settlement had a set of roster caps. And so I was like, we knew that the rowing team was being roster manipulated. Michigan State's not the only university that was doing that. So I was going out there, I pulled their 2024 NCAA FRS report, and I was like, I'm going to go in and look at it and see what happened. And sure enough, 94 rowers, the roster cap was 68, and our Title IX settlement with Michigan State dictates that a gap of more than 20, they got to put a new program in. That doesn't have to be swimming, but they have to put a program in. My soul dropped when I read the impacts to other sports, and that one was track and field and cross country. I was absolutely devastated to the effect that I went to the board in the fall in December 2025, and I spoke again at the Michigan State Board of Trustees talking about the soul-crushing impact that the Title IX gap for Michigan State will be greater than at the time Michigan State swimming and diving was cut, and it will be a gap of 28 women versus being even when it was cut back then. That devastated, so over 92 women and 19 men will lose opportunities to compete at Michigan State as a result of the Grant House roster caps. I say Grant House because Grant House is the house in the House settlement. And why a swimmer decided to be part of that settlement, I have no idea. And why roster caps became part of that settlement, I have no idea. But those are walk-ons. What is the marginal cost of a track and field athlete? A couple shoes and a bib and some uniforms. It's nothing. So why that got in there, I have no idea. So I was so outraged by that figure, I went out and sent Freedom of Information Acts to every single Big Ten school out there, and I actually did it to the Power Five as well. But the Southern schools, for some reason, decided to have different rules than the rest of the Big Ten. But I got every one of them back from the Big Ten. Across the entirety of the Big Ten, for cross country, indoor track and field and outdoor track and field, a total of 549 opportunities will be lost across the Big Ten alone. I tried to pull some data for this very discussion and from the education department, and unfortunately every single university lumps track and field together, so you can't do an accurate comparison of the impact of the House settlements. But given that 65% of the participants in the Olympics come from NCAA athletics, according to the NCAA. Track in field in 2024 had 406 athletes across 75 sports, 75 countries. Swimming and diving had 223 athletes across 84 sports. The crucible for Olympic athletes is NCAA competition, and I'm a big believer in that. So our group believes we have a model to help sustain and protect against what is going to continue to happen to erode. I believe if Title IX didn't exist, women's sports would be gone as a result of what's going on in collegiate athletics today and the money that's involved. When you go from $60 million of revenue to $200 million of revenue, and then they claim that they don't have any money, that's what's happening at Michigan State. And across all the universities, we're not alone. So my advocacy and in honor of my grandfather and his love of sports, and I guarantee you that no one has a bigger smile on their face about this induction. Not us, it's my father who is beaming. And it's very difficult to get my dad to cry, but I guarantee you he is bawling his eyes out not given this honor. So in honor of, I can think of no better way to honor my grandfather than to offer, be it you, anyone in this room, be you 1,100 miles away, or all the way out in Oregon. I don't care where they are in this country. I'm willing to help and talk about our experience of what's happened at Michigan State with our program. I want to protect. I do not want to see another Olympic sport cut anywhere across the country. Take whatever money you want everywhere else. You have football and basketball. Take whatever you want. I don't care. Just leave us alone. Let us compete. Let us do what we do, which is create great individual people that go out and do great things and are great leaders for other people, and to also go out and represent our country so well. So I'm here for you, be it now, be it tomorrow, be it 10 years from now. I don't care. I'm going to my grave advocating for this cause. So thank you very much for this honor. I'm honored to be your brethren in the summer athletics in Olympics. And I can't thank you enough for this, and I would have been remiss if I didn't mention this and be your advocate. So thank you very much.
When my granddad was inducted into the Mishawaka High School Hall of Fame, his remarks were very brief, and he said, "You'll never know how much this means to me." And so, behalf of the Thurston family and my granddad, I say the same thing. He would be so humbled and so honored by this recognition, and you'll never know how much this means to our family. So, thank you.